There's the car. Strike, strike, strike. Oh, please! Get your got his hands! Got his hands!
Get him! Get him!
Yeah. Anthony Russel, you're under arrest for the murder of 3 people. You do not have to say anything but my army defence. You do not mention one question, something which you later rely on court as. You do say maybe given evidence.
Yo, this is the Scarcity Studios YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. And our sponsors at Alpha Claims and Hire Birmingham, the leading and best accident management company. Get a replacement car anywhere in 1 hour. I really appreciate you joining me today, and this is a follow-up to a story that I started to cover over 2 years ago. I did several videos on this story because I knew that it was going to be very serious when they finally got to trial and concluded. The police were very quiet and didn't want to say anything about the investigation, understandably, while it was ongoing. But now that the trial is completed and Anthony Russel has been sentenced, we can discuss what actually happened, and also they've released a lot of footage and evidence. Throughout history, serial killers have always been depicted in an almost glamorous way, where they're shown as very clever and almost cleverer than everybody else, and a lot of intelligence goes into the way that they commit their crimes. But in reality, from what I've seen in cases that I've covered, is that a lot of the time they're very desperate, sad people. And Anthony Russel was one of them people. He was a drug addict and he manipulated and used people to supply his addiction, and he lived a life of lies and deceit. Today, on the 11th of March, Anthony Russel was given a whole life sentence for 3 murders in 7 days. The one woman that he killed was pregnant at the time as well. He murdered a mother and son, and also raped and murdered the second woman that he killed in the Leamington area. His murder spree occurred over a week period in October 2020, and the manhunt led to one of the largest that West Midlands Police has ever taken part in. It began on the 23rd of October when Julie Williams, 58 years old, phoned the police to report that her son David Williams, 31 years old, had not been seen since the 21st of October. On the 25th of October, the police were called again by the sister of Julie to say that Julie had now gone missing. Officers then forced their way into her home and found her dead body in the living room. She had been violently attacked by Russel earlier in the day. Russel fled Coventry on the 26th of October after the discovery of Julie Williams' body. He took money and a mobile phone that he robbed from a 78-year-old man the day before. Later that day, officers raided Russell's home in Riley Square, Coventry, after a tip-off that he'd confessed to killing Julie and David. They found the body of David hidden under his bed, and he also suffered multiple horrendous injuries. A major manhunt was launched for Russel, who lived on the same road as the victims that he killed. And this was the problem that the police found, is that Russel was prepared to go to be homeless. He literally roamed public transport and travelled to Kenilworth, where he immediately went on a violent robbing spree, and he robbed a 71-year-old woman of £200 and dragged her across the ground. He again used public transport, and Russel then arrived in Leamington Spa at 2:42, 2 days after the murders. Sadly, he then met 31-year-old Nicole McGregor, and she was his third murder victim, and he killed her in Woodland in Newbold Common in Leamington Spa a few days later. Nicole was 18 weeks pregnant when she was murdered. Russel was then recorded on CCTV leaving Leamington Spa on foot on the 28th. At 2 p.m. the same day, he preyed on another vulnerable victim, and he attacked a 75-year-old man and robbed him. He pretended to ask for directions, and when the man followed him, Russel then attacked him before making off in his car. So this man went on a Grand Theft Auto style serial killer murder rage, and the amount of victims he accumulated was actually shocking. And what was even more shocking for me was how he was able to evade capture for so long using public transport. He was finally arrested in Staffordshire in the early hours of the 30th of October 2020. He was sleeping in the car that he'd stolen 2 days earlier. which again goes to add to his criminal intellect. This man was just a drug addict, a desperate, sad, pathetic human being who, even after he murdered people, he would then try to look for their bodies with the victims' families. Similar to how Ian Huntley did years ago when he murdered 2 girls and then participated in the police search. When he was questioned by police, he remained silent and put a blanket over his head. Russell admitted all of the murders, as well as 3 robberies and the wounding of the carjacking victim. On the 10th of March, he also was found guilty of the rape of his final victim on the day that he murdered her. He was sentenced at Warwick Crown Court. Detective Superintendent Sean Edwards said this was a violent series of murders that happened over the period of 1 week, and it left 2 families devastated for the rest of their lives. We believe that David was killed due to Russell's mistaken belief that he was in a relationship with his girlfriend, and when Russell spoke to Julie about her son's disappearance, we suspect that he confessed about the murder and then killed Julie to stop her speaking to the police. There was no direct link between Russell and Nicole, and it appears that it was pure chance that they met, and maybe due to drug addiction that they found a mutual bond. So this story is just devastating, and it shows how drugs can just ruin lives, families, and take parents away from children. And as I said at the beginning, please don't ever mistake the way that the media portrays things to get you to watch it as the reality of what happened. So my condolences to all the victims and their families, and I really want to hear what people have to say on this story. I'm sure this story will do a lot better than the previous coverage of it due to the amount of video content, but as I've said previously, I never rely on the content. It's always about the story, if it's important, if it matters, and if people's lives are affected. So don't forget to follow me online as well at Scarcity Studios on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter and Facebook. And I'll be back again very shortly with some more news. Peace.
Significant manhunt, indeed one of the biggest manhunts that West Midlands Police has run, and we work with colleagues from other forces around here.